Today, I want to show you how to make sure that when traveling, a problem with an ATM card never turns into a crisis. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Ian. I'm known as WanderBeard around here. In today's video, I'm actually putting my IT cap back on a little bit to talk about some of the ways I design things so that one bad moment doesn't turn into a crisis. When you're traveling, most people are going to bring an ATM or bank card with them to withdraw cash from local ATMs and that sort of thing. And of course, there's always some risk involved. Losing access to money abroad isn't rare. Cards can get skimmed, cards can get blocked, cards can get eaten by ATMs or flagged by your bank. In my case, one time, the chip on my card actually stopped working entirely. And the reality is, customer support doesn't really care where you are or how urgent the problem feels to you. It only cares about following its processes and timelines. That's why one small failure can suddenly feel like it's cascading into a much bigger problem when you're on the road. So, in 25 years of IT, one of the things you learn pretty quickly is that systems will fail. You never want to attach anything critical to a single point of failure. And you always assume that eventually something will get compromised. Instead of trying to make things perfect, I approach things a little bit differently. I don't try to make systems perfect. I try to make them boring, so that when something does fail, there's already a backup plan. So, how does this apply to money when you're traveling? I've developed what I call the double blind system. It's simply a way I structure my accounts so that a single problem can't affect everything at once. The idea is that I separate my money into roles. I have one bank account that's exposed to the outside world, ATMs, card readers, day-to-day spending, and I have another account that never touches any of that. It's intentionally isolated, so I'm the only one who can ever access it. The result is that my daily spending card never has access to my full bank balance back home. So how does this work in practice? Well, I carry a debit card with me that I use every day. I use it in stores, online for things like tickets, and at ATMs. That card is tied to an account that only ever carries a small controlled balance, usually just what I need for a day or two at most. And I work with the assumption that eventually that card will get compromised. But when that happens, it doesn't really matter. The account that holds my main balance, the one back home, doesn't even have an ATM card attached to it while I'm traveling. It's intentionally only accessed online. Money moves from that protected account to the daily use account deliberately, only when I decide to move it. So yeah, my money moves deliberately, not automatically. Because I'm Canadian, this is just how I've set things up for my own situation. The overall idea should translate pretty easily, I think, even if the details look different for other people. So for me, my daily use card is from EQ Bank in Canada. And the reasons for that are pretty simple. There's no foreign exchange fees, there's no monthly fees, and it's easy to move money online from one bank to it. I only transfer money into that account when I need it from my primary bank. It's pretty straightforward. And this isn't a recommendation or a set of instructions, just to be clear. It's just simply, what's working for me. So, how does this actually protect me when something goes wrong? Let's look at a few different common scenarios. So for example, an ATM eats the card, or a local bank flags the card for unusual activity, or the card just stops working in the middle of a trip, which is what happened to me, or the account gets temporarily frozen. In every one of those cases, the protected account back home is still untouched. My trip doesn't collapse. My stress stays very low, and just because something is inconvenient, it doesn't become catastrophic to me. So card skimmers are a good example of why this system works so well. I've seen a lot of travelers talk about getting their card skimmed and wondering how someone now has access to all of their money. And that misunderstanding is actually part of the problem. A skimmer is just a device that captures card information when you use an ATM without realizing it. But the important thing to understand is this: a skimmer only ever captures information tied to that specific card and account. It doesn't magically give access to everything else. So in my case, at worst, a skimmer gets access to an account that's almost always empty. That allows me to do two things at once. First, I can assume compromise will happen at some point, and second, I can limit the damage by my design. So, while I approach this from an IT perspective, I think it's also important to look at it through the life after 50 lens. As you get older, you tend to have less tolerance for chaos. I know I do. You may have fewer safety nets, and you start to place more value on predictability in your day-to-day life. Stress is more expensive than inconvenience. This isn't about fear. It's just about removing stress from the equation altogether. Now, just a couple of quick clarifications before I wrap this up. None of this is financial advice or tax advice, and it's definitely not about hiding money. This is simply a personal system that works for me in real-world travel, and it's designed to reduce stress and risk while accessing money on the road. This video may come across to you as incredibly boring, and honestly, that might be part of my whole point. Good systems can make problems very boring. I mean, you can't prevent everything. You can't always know when something is going to go wrong. But what you can do is prevent cascades. You can stop small problems from turning into very big ones. For me, the real luxury while traveling isn't comfort, it's peace of mind. And it's knowing that no matter what happens, my money is protected in a way that keeps those problems manageable. One last thing I'll add here is that even if a card does completely die, which has happened to me in the past, it's still not the end of the world. Because the money itself is secure, there are always ways to bridge that gap temporarily if you need to. And just knowing that takes a lot of the pressure out of the situation. From an IT perspective, this is really just redundancy. Years ago, I worked at a company where a single security device failed, and because there was no redundancy in place, the entire system went offline. After that, we rebuilt things so that there were multiple layers in place, not because failures wouldn't happen, but because when they did, the system would stay standing. This, I guess, kind of works in the same way. You're not trying to prevent a failure, you're just trying to make sure that one failure can't take everything else down with it. And one last small tip I'm going to leave you with, because it comes up a lot and I've seen it in a lot of different videos and comments online, is that when you're using ATMs or card machines abroad, you'll often be asked if you want the machine to do the currency conversion for you. In almost every case, you want to decline that and let your bank handle the conversion instead back home. That machine's rate is usually much worse and can quietly cost you an extra 5 to 10% of your withdrawal. It doesn't change how this system works, it just avoids an unnecessary fee, and I wanted to pass that along to you. So, if you found this helpful, feel free to leave a like or a comment. It really does help the video reach the right people. If you'd like to support the project further, I've recently moved my memberships over to Patreon. There's no obligation at all, but it's there for anyone who wants to support the channel more directly or get a bit closer to my process. And as always, thanks for watching. Life is short. Wander. And I'll see you in the next video.